888.
Why'd you call Cousin Sean anyway? You know he can't even fix his own lunch.
On next week's episode of What Not to Do.
Oh, come on, a monster truck?
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. What am I looking at? 5 minutes after 10. Thank you for tuning in this morning. We just had an interview with a lady who was born in 1925, same year my mom was born. And the difference is that this lady was born in Nebraska. My mom was born in Germany when she was and then when she was 3 years old, she came here as a child, as an immigrant. Her parents, my grandparents, were also immigrants on my mother's side. And I remember hearing stories of, a good family friend was the people who sponsored them. So there was a sponsor. He had to have a job. They had to wait until my mom had some kind of rubella or something like that. Mm-hmm. Some kind of a disease when she was a baby. So they had to wait for that to end. She couldn't come over. Nobody could come over with the disease. And now, I mean, even with the movie Titanic, remember the movie Titanic? They couldn't have lice in their hair. There was so many reasons why you had to really pass tests in order to be here in America.
Exactly.
And, gosh, we are, I believe in the sentiment expressed on the Statue of Liberty that says, bring us your tired mass. I can't quote it, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. That we welcome people to immigrate here. That's what we created ourselves for, so we could be a place of refuge for people who wanted freedom. But people take advantage of our niceness, I think.
Yes, they do.
And that's not to say that the child of an illegal immigrant who has been raised here, and I have thoughts about that differently than I do the one who just blatantly comes here and gets a job. And the numbers are so huge that it's really something that's an issue, an important one to talk about. Ray Beck thinks about this way more than I ever will. He's on the phone. He's the founder and president of Numbers USA. Numbers USA is, according to my notes, a nonpartisan organization committed to reducing illegal immigration in the United States for the strengthening of America's national security, which makes a lot of sense to me. He's a journalist and the former chief Washington correspondent for Booth newspapers. The vote taken by the House of Representatives to fund the Department of Homeland Security through the end of September of this year is part of what we're talking about. The measure passed did not include language to stop President Obama's executive amnesty for as many as 5 million illegal immigrants. So let's talk about this. Roy Beck, you've got a topic that is a button pusher for sure. Good morning, Roy.
Good morning to you. I suspect that when you look out your windows, you see something different than what I'm looking at right now. We've got quite a snowstorm falling here in Washington, D.C.
Oh, are you in D.C.? Okay, well, that was going to be my first question. Where are you? Yeah, I was looking at the Times Square cam, and I saw the snow falling. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Well, thank you for being on the air. So, I have mixed feelings about amnesty, and here's why. Because if you talk about some illegal immigrant, and they could be, everybody says that it's a racist thing, but I mean, I understand they could come from Europe, they could come from Mexico, they could come from Canada, they come from all over. But I mean, if they've come here and they blatantly just disregarded our laws, I think that's one thing. Mm-hmm. But the bleeding heart part of me is because sometimes there are adult 30-year-old guys. There was a story about this 30-year-old guy. He was working as a policeman. He came here like my mother when he was like 3, but his parents never did the legal thing, and so therefore he was never legal. And so he's technically illegal and could be deported because of that. And the thing I don't understand is at 30, I mean, can't you just correct the wrong and do it yourself?
Well, yeah, and I did hear some of your comments beforehand. I appreciate that. It's a very, very complex issue when you have a government that has not enforced its laws for decades. 1986, we had the first amnesty. It was a giant amnesty. There was a deal made. Lots of people didn't want the amnesty, but they said, look, we'll give you the amnesty if we don't ever get in a situation again where we have a big buildup of illegal aliens. And the way we're not going to have a buildup of illegal aliens is they won't be able to get jobs. If people can't get jobs in America, then you're not going to have that many illegal aliens. That was the idea. That was the deal. And they had all kinds of laws. Okay. Well, the Reagan administration did a pretty decent job starting to try to enforce that. But the first Bush administration just stopped. They just basically did very little enforcement. Clinton administration did less enforcement. The Bush administration, the second one, did even less. And now the Obama administration has stopped enforcement altogether. There's no enforcement against businesses hiring illegal aliens. So what you've got is almost 30 years of the government not enforcing the law. And that's how you get a 30-year-old who was brought here too, who's still here, right? I mean, why do we have, supposedly we have about 2 million dreamers, these what's called dreamers. So you have about 2 million people who are late teens to early 30s and who've been in the United States for 5 to 20 years. They were brought here as children below the age of 15. And well, how did that happen? That's the thing you have to start off with, because it's like, I agree with you, by the way, that these people have compelling stories. But you can't just sort of like, okay, we're going to deal with that without dealing with how did this happen in the first place?
Yeah.
You've got to fix that problem. And that's the thing that Congress and each president has refused to do, and that is, how do you stop parents, not just from getting here illegally, but how do you stop them from getting jobs illegally and holding jobs for years and years and years illegally? And so, our big fight against the DREAM Act in the first place, the DREAM Amnesty, and especially the president's unilateral DREAM Amnesty that he gave back in 2012, is that he's not fixing the problem at all. He's allowing the problem to continue. The parents are arriving. They're over. They're coming to Disney World on a vacation visa, and then overstaying their visa. And they brought kids with them, and then 10 years or 5 years later, there's the thing is, well, we got to give amnesty. Right.
So I don't know, but I'm asking. But it seems like the problem is the employment. If the law was enforced regarding the employment of those people, then they couldn't be here. But I've often heard this, and I want to hear from you if this is accurate, that the wages, because they're not here legally, the wages can be less, and that's the whole draw. Because let's say there's whether it's a farm or a factory, I don't think it really matters. If you can have a smaller payroll with illegal immigrants, then you're going to have a higher bottom line, and the local people who actually are legal and were born and raised here don't get those jobs. Is that all accurate?
There's something to that, but there are many studies that show that the primary way that illegal immigrants drive down wages is by creating a larger labor force. That is, it doesn't matter whether you're illegal or legal, or whether you're just having lots of babies 16, 18 years ago. When you have an increase in the size of the labor force, the wages, the pressure on wages is downward. It's just the law of supply and demand. So you have both of those things going on through your illegal workforce. Now we've got around 11 or 12 million illegal aliens. Supposedly, the estimates are about 7 to 8 million of them are working. The rest are, for the most part, either young, they're mainly young, and a few older. So yes, you got 7 or 8 million illegal aliens in the workforce. That's an extra competition. It just holds wages down.
Yeah.
By the way, there are whole occupations that have collapsed in the 80s and 90s. Drywalling, for example. We've been hearing for years from American drywallers who were making a good wage, because it's not an easy job. and they were making good wages, but the wages collapsed. First of all, they dropped to about half of what they were, and now they're about 1/3 of what they were 25 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And it's because this is a job that is through ethnic networking has become a job of foreign labor, heavily illegal, but also a lot of legal labor. So these are all very important points. So I just, one thing I want to say is that the House Judiciary Committee this week passed a tremendous mandatory E-Verify law. That bill is probably going to come up in the House of Representatives over the next month, and then it's going to go to the Senate. It will get the majority of votes in the Senate, but we're going to find out whether the Democrats will be unanimous in blocking this E-Verify law, because the reason they will block it is basically the Democratic and the president's position is we can have no new enforcement of immigration laws in this country until we have given permanent residency to all the illegal aliens who are in our country.
Oh, my God.
And that's the impasse. That's the impasse that we have in Washington right now.
Oh, wow. We need to take a little break. Roy Beck is our guest. I'm sorry?
We have a 10:20.
Oh, this is a short interview.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, Roy, thank you for being on the air with us today. We'll pay attention to this. Do you have a website for Numbers USA?
Well, we sure do. That's our center, and it's numbersusa.com. And we've been doing this since '96. We have there information about every member of Congress, everything they've ever done on immigration, great cards. We keep, and if people sign up, and we have over 1.5 million people who have signed up, we keep you informed on what your member is doing and saying about immigration, and we provide free tools, phone calls, faxes that people can use to contact their members of Congress. And we certainly welcome everybody to stop in and see what we got, and we look forward to having people working with us.
All right. I welcome anything that helps us understand the problems we're having, and so thank you for doing what you're doing. Roy Beck, thank you for being on the air with us today. We'll be right back.
Weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. A very warm day today with intervals of clouds and sun and a high of 83 to 87. Mostly cloudy tonight. There can be a shower, though 60 to 64. Clouds and sunny breaks and much cooler tomorrow with a shower or two around. Highs ranging from the low 60s in the northernmost part of the zone to the mid-70s in the south. And Saturday, more clouds and sun and breezy with a shower possible. Highs in the upper 60s to lower 70s. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
Real estate is the largest and most personal investment that any of us will ever make. Be sure to tune in Tuesdays at 10 a.m. when Bob Kennedy, owner of Berkshire Hathaway Home Team Realty, will be answering your questions and discussing real estate. So remember, that's Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Call 622-9622 with your questions. It pays to be an informed buyer or seller. This is news you can use from Berkshire Hathaway Home Team Realty and your friends here at WOCA.
That was the sound of a tree falling. It could be your tree. You're going to have it trimmed, but never got around to calling Pride Tree Service. It could have fallen in a field, and now all you have to do is call Pride Tree Service, and they'll have it quickly out of the way for a great price. But don't wait until the tree falls. It may not fall in the field. It may hit your car, your house, or worse. So call Pride Tree Service today and avoid all those headaches before they happen. Pride Tree Service, 840-0750. That's 840-0750.
Let's give it up for old asphalt and a new pair of shoes. Let's give it up for a good rhythm meeting a sweet melody. For a church cookout under clear skies. Let's give it up for good things coming together, like bundling your auto and other policies together with an Allstate agent, which can save you time and keep you better protected. Let's give it up for good.
To receive your comparative insurance quote, contact the McDonald Agency at 622-2333.
Located next door to Silver Spring State Park and a few minutes from historic downtown Ocala, our award-winning Holiday Inn Express Hotel and Suites of Silver Springs is the place to stay for a friendly, memorable, and fun experience. Enjoy our fast and free Wi-Fi, complimentary hot breakfast, and free parking. Whether you're in town for work or play, our friendly staff will make you feel right at home. That's the Holiday Inn Express and Suites of Silver Springs.
Proud sponsor of College of Central Florida basketball on WOCA The Source.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my
too.
seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line, and a new spoiler, and a new
Yep,
trunk.
we can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too, huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, join me